Good morning. Good morning to all of you. Last year in Lyon, EPMA announced the Sustainability Challenge. An online questionnaire has been used covering three main areas of sustainability and environment, sustainability and people, and sustainability and society. Each question had a scoring system. As an example, there were more points for a company using green energy compared to a company that is planning to use green energy. Companies who gave some good stories about the way they handle sustainability with real examples got some extra points. Small companies got some additional points compared to large companies, as it is more difficult to work on sustainability when you're a small company with less resources than a large company. All the scoring system is explained on the EPMA website, so please have a look. It took some time to gather entries, and 10 companies joined the challenge. Well, the top 3 companies in the ranking were very close, so we have decided to give 3 awards this year. So clearly, we have a gold award, a silver award, and a bronze award. Surprise. So, the EPMA Gold Sustainability Award is given, the 2023 edition of this award is given to Höganäs AB. Congratulations. Now, if Hilma Vidalsson could join me on stage. Hilma, you have 10 minutes. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thanks. Wow, music and all, that's really... Well, it's thrilling to be here, so thank you so much. And it's a little bit of a mixed feeling, though. It also feels a bit compelling, because the industry we belong to is the steel industry. And I mean, it's 7% of the global emissions we're talking about, and that's just the iron. And when we can add the alloying elements on top of that, you can just imagine the numbers rising. But still, for us, this is a challenge for PM to become a production technology for the future. And to do that, we need, of course, to address and lower these emissions. But okay, my name is Hilma Vidalsson, and I'm a part of this team here, this fantastic team, the sustainability team at Höganäs. And we've been working on this for a few years now. I just want to share with you my story here. But to begin with, I just want to ask first, when did you become aware of sustainability as a term and climate change? Well, I must admit that this has been familiar for me for quite a while, but it hasn't really come to anything that has influenced my life directly, my personal life, until now. I think you all agree that we have seen change happening now before our eyes. And this is for real, it's tangible. And so, now listening to also what authorities are saying and the legislation they're preparing, we realize that now we need to act, we need to take responsibility. And this we have taken at heart at Höganäs. And this is quite interesting when you look at the Höganäs history. It was established at 1797, but it was first a coal mining company, digging up fossil carbon, and transformed into a company preparing or making ceramic goods, but using that fossil coals for heating furnaces. And then transforming to a metal powder producer. In the beginning, it was also using fossil coal to make these metal powders. So what lies ahead? Well, that's an exciting, yet a transformation, to become a trailblazing, sustainable producer to shape the products for tomorrow's sustainable society. So let's have a look at how this has been so far for us. I'm going to just share some of the experiencing here. And if you recognize some of the points that Andreas mentioned earlier. We have embraced this really by shifting the shift to make ambitious sustainability goals. But to be able to do this, we first needed to create kind of a platform, you could say, a baseline. And we did that by creating a system to measure and report on emissions on all our production sites. And that meant cradle to gate, that is, from raw materials to final products. So it included that we need to know all the upstream emissions, the indirect emissions that are occurring when our raw materials have been manufactured, also the CO2 footprint of the energy we're using, but also, of course, the direct emissions that we have when we convert carbon in our raw materials to CO2, and also from our fuels. And with that, we landed in a kind of a climate roadmap. And it said, originally, we were very proud, we will be finished by 2045, sorry. And we presented this to our owners, and they said, oh, this looks good, but can't you do this a bit faster? And then we thought, oh, that was the turning point for us. We had to go back and make even more ambitious plans. And that's when we ended up with the 2037 end date. And also, as you saw before, the direct emissions from our own processes and the footprint from the energy we use needed to become zero already at 2030. And that was for a good reason. So this was an aggressive time plan, and it prompted us now to start making plans directly and go to the sites, the production sites, and ask them to break down these plans into something concrete that is measurable and is doable. So we had a baseline now for each site. We engaged locally people to make these plans and make sure that they will be followed through. And also, this was integrated into our business plan. But it didn't stop there. We also created an engaging internal e-learning platform for all employees in our company, so they can become more aware and become more engaged. And we also started to look for our supply chain upstream to engage them. This is something that takes a lot of work, and it takes some time, but we had to start already now to bring them aboard to align with our sustainability roadmap. Also, when it comes to innovation and technical development, now we have sustainability principles integrated in all these processes. So sustainability is now a part of the creative process. Now, we had also a milestone, which Andreas mentioned before, and that's the SBTi validation. And this is now an independent third-party endorsement that assures that our goals are in alignment with the Paris Agreement goal of 1.5 degree maximum temperature rise in the future. So we're excited that our goals, they were actually more ambitious than the SBTi stipulated final year. They said 2040, but we already decided on 2037. That felt good. We also had some other milestones I would like to mention. The transition to fossil-free electricity to lower this Scope 2 footprint upstream. We already managed to do it this year for all sites. And we also phased out the use of primary iron as a raw material for water atomized powders. It's important for the upstream emissions. We're using only secondary raw materials. And we have also started the shift to go away from natural gas for heating our furnaces and instead shifting to biogas. And we will be finished in just a few years. But also we have started to do life cycle assessment on all our production units to make sure that we identified all sources of emissions, identified the hotspots, and got the actions really in place that we can go through with this. And as I mentioned before, our system of monitoring is really now in place. We have a constant follow-up. We can monitor our emissions, and we report them quarterly and annually for this purpose. So what is the takeaway from what I've been describing for you now? Well, let's just say first that we're in this all together as an industry. A chain isn't stronger than its weakest link. So we could just say that if one actor in this area is doing this work, it's not enough. Everybody needs to be on board so we can do this. And let's just want to come to tell that you can do it. You can do it as well. And we need to do it, all of us. We all have a role to play here. So I urge you now to take action and not to wait for things to happen on their own. Because time is of essence. Legislations will be set, and our end users will be asking questions and creating demands. And it's up to us to make this journey a reality. Another reflection is that, as we were just listening to Andreas before, the OEMs, they are very well aware of this. We need to constantly be able to convince the OEMs that PM is a technology that keeps the pace, is in synchronicity with their requirements. And that also involves our product development. We need to provide products for them for their sustainable solutions regarding both emissions but also circularity. And then we come to this extended frame of not cradle to gate but cradle to cradle. So in conclusion, Höganäs is committed to zero emissions, net zero emissions by 2037. And of course, I'm standing here not for just my own reason, but also for my colleagues and the whole company, thankful for the commitment from both our owners and our colleagues at Höganäs in this transformative journey. And I invite you all to join this, of course, so we can have this path clear for us for a sustainable future. Because it's we that's going to do the work. We're going to pave this way for a better tomorrow. So with those words, I would like to thank you so much for your attention and for the honor of this award. And if you need, you can just get in touch with me for some more information. So thank you all so very much.
So thank you, Hilmar. So can I have, yes. Okay, so we now move to the silver category. And the winner for the Silver Sustainability Award 2023 is Ceratizit. So please welcome on stage Teemu Karuma from Ceratizit. Teemu will give us a 10-minute speech about their sustainability efforts.
Thank you, Bruno, for the introduction. Hello, everybody. My name is Teemu Karhuma. I am head of R&D at Ticomet in Finland, and Ticomet is part of Ceratizit, and the process or the part of Ticomet at Ceratizit Group is to provide recycling of cemented carbide scrap to be used again in the production of hard metals. Couple of words about Ceratizit. Ceratizit is with its 3 divisions: cutting tools solutions, hard material solutions, and global tungsten and powders, globally number 4 in the carbide industry. And having, for this fiscal year, expected turnover of about 1.5 billion euros and more than 8,000 employees, we have a goal to become number 3 in the carbide industry. During this summer latest, we all have realized that we are in the middle of change. No one of us can avoid the responsibility, as we just heard. We have seen droughts and heavy heat waves in the southern Europe and floods all around the globe. we need to react now. Ceratizit takes its responsibility very seriously, and the vision is to become leader in the sustainability for the hard metal and cutting tool industry by 2025. The mission number one at Ceratizit in sustainability topics is to become CO2 neutral by 2025. Sustainability is not only about CO2 emissions. There are many, many other topics that we need to take care of. But we all know that the global warming is a very urgent topic, and we need to take care of that first. Sustainability actually means that we need to take care of what we do here in this planet so that the generations to come will have the same possibilities to live here after us. The goal of reaching carbon neutrality in 2025 at Ceratizit will be done by increasing the recycling rate and optimizing the processes and securing the renewable energy to all production locations. The base year for Ceratizit was 2020, and after that, the corporate carbon footprint has been calculated carefully, and for 2020, the corporate carbon footprint for Ceratizit Group was about 176,000 tons of CO2 equivalent, and this includes all the scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions, so from cradle to gate emissions. And the ambitious target is not only to become carbon neutral by 2025, and these terms, there are clear definitions for what means carbon neutral and what means net zero. And Ceratizit has also a goal to become net zero by 2040, and that means the carbon CO2 emissions have to be reduced by 90% from all scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions, and the rest 10% will be offsetted. And this is according to the science-based targets, which is something that Ceratizit is also committed to. Recycling is another critical topic, not only to reduce CO2 emissions, but also to reduce dependency on virgin raw materials, which cause enormous harm into the environment. And the goal at Ceratizit is to use more than 95% or recycle more than 95% of sinterate products, and this will save further natural resources. And at this point, I have to mention that be prepared, whether you are in the carbide industry or in steel industry, that there will be huge competition in the future for the secondary raw material. So scrap is the new gold in the future. And very recently, in trade fair EMO, a couple of weeks ago, Ceratizit launched a model to calculate CO2 emissions in the carbide industry. And gradually, Ceratizit will start to include for all of its products such a classification, like seen here, what are the emissions for each produced product that will be sold in the future. And this calculation method for calculate the CO2 footprint for each product will be available for other partners and other companies in the hard metal industry. And of course, this is a great tool to support customers to reduce their CO2 emissions in the future. And then I would like to read one quote at the end of my speech. This quote is from a speech done by United Nations Secretariat General from this year. I think it was end of July, and it's pretty dramatic. The quote starts, "The era of global warming has ended. The era of global boiling has arrived. The air is unbreathable. The heat is unbearable. And the level of fossil fuel profits and climate inaction is unacceptable. Leaders must lead. No more hesitancy, no more excuses, no more waiting for others to move first. There is simply no more time for that." These words are quite dramatic, and someone could consider also a little bit depressing. But there is still hope. Hope to prevent the worst scenarios to happen. So we don't need to stop living, but we need to start working already today. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we come to the third category, the Bronze Award. So the winner for the Bronze category this year, 2023, is Sandvik. And here is Paul Davis. Paul will give us a 5-minute speech on Sandvik's sustainability journey. Yes.
Good morning. So Sandvik has 6 focus areas for the creation and evolution of a sustainable business. First of all, the production of innovative products, solutions for our customers in the field of mining, rock processing, machining, and the manufacturing workshop of the future, which will certainly include additive manufacturing. Net zero carbon footprint in our value chain, defined within the Science Based Targets initiative, and ultimately achieving a net zero by 2050. Circularity and resource efficiency, including increasing recycled content up to 90%. And give an example, 316L stainless steel for metal injection molding is more than 75% recycled content today. Regeneration of biodiversity is very important, especially in the UK. It was reported that there's an increasing number of native species that are becoming endangered. Maintaining a high ethical standards, especially when sourcing raw materials as a responsible business. Setting an example of diversity, inclusion, and setting the highest safety standards. So Sandvik and Sandvik Additive Manufacturing is the part of Sandvik I represent, is on a sustainable journey. I've been talking about sustainability for the last 3 years and applying it to metal powder production. And here you can see the locations of our production. Neath in South Wales, which actually was the centre of the beginnings of the Industrial Revolution, manufacturing iron products. Half the world's copper production at one time was manufactured in the region in Swansea. And the industry has evolved in this area, incorporating gas atomization, where we are melting metals using green energy, wind power in particular, And the UK is doing quite well in terms of adopting wind powder and also, hopefully in the future, small modular nuclear reactors also to reduce the impact of fossil fuel energy generation. And likewise in Sweden has one of the lowest impacts for energy generation in the world. So gas atomization involves increasing the efficiency of production of metal powders, especially fine powders, for instance, for metal injection molding. And ensure our environmental performance are measured with the appropriate ISO standards and targeting high-end markets such as aerospace and the medical industry. So now I'll just find, as well as powder production, we're also converting that powder into consolidated components with our partners such as BMIT, who are one of the largest European additive manufacturing companies, service bureaus in Europe. A couple of examples. The first of all, we see a cobalt-free Mar-aging steel. So this is effectively a patent-pending new design. So it matches the performance of equivalent Mar-aging steels, which are very popular for the manufacturing of mold tooling. In this example, you see a tire mold segment. And the second example is the use of titanium in powder bed fusion printing of a tool holder, reducing the weight by 80%, incorporating water cooling through the spindle at the cutting edges to increase productivity for the process. So I'd like to thank the EPMA and all my colleagues in Sandvik, especially Sandvik Additive Manufacturing, and thank you very much for the award.
So, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you all for being here. The next edition of the Sustainability Award will be next year, 2024, in Malmö. All information will be circulated on the EPMA website, the network, and the newsletters. So please stay tuned and see you.